It was April 20th, 2011, when silence fell over the PlayStation world. Gamers across the globe logged in to find nothing. No friends online, no store, no multiplayer, just a network error. At first, nobody panicked. Outages happened. Servers went down for maintenance all the time. Sony posted a bland blog update. "We are aware that certain functions of PlayStation Network are down. Thank you for your patience." But hours stretched into days. Days turned into weeks, and the truth was far more sinister than downtime. Hackers had slipped past Sony's defenses. 77 million accounts were compromised. Names, passwords, addresses, even credit card data potentially exposed. It was, at the time, the largest consumer data breach in history. For gamers, it meant almost a month without online play. For Sony, it meant losses of more than $170 million, lawsuits around the world, and a permanent scar on their reputation. But this story wasn't born overnight. To understand how it began, you have to go back to a teenager with a screwdriver, an internet collective with a grudge, and a corporation convinced it was untouchable. The prodigy. George Hotz, better known by his online alias GeoHot, wasn't like other kids. He wasn't content to just play with gadgets. He needed to break them open, see how they worked, and bend them to his will. By 17, he had already made headlines. When Apple launched the first iPhone in 2007, it came chained to a single carrier, AT&T. Most people sighed and signed contracts. GeoHot picked up a soldering iron, he cracked the baseband chip, rewrote the code, and unlocked the device. The first iPhone jailbreak was born. He filmed himself demonstrating the unlocked phone and uploaded it to YouTube. Overnight, he became an internet folk hero. Donations poured in. Tech blogs called him a genius. Even Steve Wozniak, Apple's own co-founder, praised him for creativity rather than condemning him as a criminal. Hotz thrived in that spotlight, but fame wasn't the point. What drove him was curiosity. A compulsion so strong, his father once joked that no household appliance was safe from George's hands. Remote controls, school computers, even toys. He dismantled them all just to see what lay inside. After a short stint at Google, Hotz grew restless. He announced his retirement from hacking phones, but boredom gnawed at him. He needed a new challenge. And soon, he found one, the PlayStation 3. The PS3 wasn't just another game console. It was a technological marvel. Powered by the cell processor, fortified with layers of encryption, it had resisted hackers for years. Nintendo's Wii and Microsoft's Xbox 360 had already fallen, but Sony's Fortress stood strong. For hackers, that made it irresistible. For GeoHot, it was personal. For 5 weeks, he labored through the night, writing and testing 500 lines of code at a time. If the screen flashed a 0, he had succeeded. If it flashed a 5, he had failed. Most nights, the screen mocked him with failure. But one night, the 0 appeared. The fortress had fallen. He announced his triumph online. "I have hacked the PS3. He published the exploit, showing others how to run Linux on the console, how to build homebrew applications, how to take control of their own machines. The hacking community celebrated, but to Sony, it was sacrilege. They had built the PS3 to be a closed system. GeoHot had kicked open the door, and Sony would not forgive him. Sony strikes back. The response was brutal. On January 11, 2011, Sony filed suit against George Hotz under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. They accused him of enabling piracy, jeopardizing billions in revenue, and damaging their brand. But Sony didn't stop with him. They subpoenaed Google, YouTube, Twitter, and even PayPal. They demanded the IP addresses of anyone who had downloaded his code, watched his tutorials, or donated to his work. In their eyes, supporters were accomplices. To the tech world, it looked like corporate overreach, an empire stomping on a single rebel and threatening everyone who stood near him. To Sony, it was a show of force. They wanted to make an example of GeoHot, to scare others away from tampering with their machines. Hotz didn't go quietly. He mocked Sony online. He posted videos joking about the lawsuit. He even released a short rap track taunting the company's lawyers. But behind the jokes, the pressure was real. By April, he settled, agreeing never again to touch a Sony product. The case might have ended there, but Sony had made a mistake. In going after one hacker so aggressively, they had provoked the attention of a much larger, far more dangerous adversary, Anonymous. Anonymous was not a person, not an organization, not even a group in the traditional sense. It was a swarm, a faceless collective bound together only by the mask and the name. And when Sony struck Geo hot, Anonymous struck back. They released a video. "Congratulations, Sony. You have earned the undivided attention of Anonymous. You stuck your pen into the hive. Now you must face the consequences." On April 4th, Sony's official websites crashed under waves of traffic. PlayStation.com went offline. IRC chat rooms buzzed with thousands of volunteers. Operation Sony was underway. Protests were planned outside Sony stores. Flyers spread online. Anonymous demanded the lawsuit be dropped. But the swarm had no leaders, no structure. Some factions wanted peaceful protest. Others wanted to burn Sony to the ground. And in that chaos, the line between activism and outright attack blurred. The breach. On April 17th, Sony engineers noticed something odd. Servers rebooted without authorization. Processes stalled for no reason. Logs filled with anomalies. For 2 days, they scrambled to understand the problem. On April 19th, the truth was clear. Hackers were inside their systems. On April 20th, Sony pulled the plug. The PlayStation Network was shut down worldwide. 77 million accounts were compromised. Names, passwords, addresses, even credit card data were exposed. Gamers were furious. Multiplayer lobbies sat empty. Online stores were closed. Forums filled with rumors. Was this Anonymous, a rogue faction, or another hacker piggybacking on their chaos? Sony's response only deepened the anger. At first, they issued vague updates, thanking customers for their patience. Days later, they admitted there had been an external intrusion. Only after nearly a week did they confess that data had been stolen. Investigators later found a file on Sony's servers named Anonymous, containing the phrase, "We are Legion." Whether it was genuine or planted to frame the collective, no one knows. Anonymous denied responsibility, claiming it could have been rogue members or Sony's own incompetence. Regardless, the damage was staggering. For 23 days, PlayStation Network remained offline. It was the longest outage in modern gaming history. Sony scrambled to rebuild, hiring cybersecurity firms, overhauling their infrastructure, and promising victims identity theft insurance worth $1 million each. Gamers received free games and 30 days of PlayStation Plus as an apology, but the goodwill was gone. Lawsuits piled up. Class actions sought compensation for lost data. Regulators in the United States and Europe launched investigations. The US Congress demanded answers. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office fined Sony for failing to protect consumer data. Meanwhile, Sony's stock price tumbled. Investors lost confidence. Headlines painted the company as careless, arrogant, and vulnerable. The numbers told the story. $171 million lost. 77 million accounts compromised. 23 days offline. It was the largest consumer data breach of its time, and it had begun with a teenager who couldn't stop tinkering. The fallout and the legacy. By May 14th, PlayStation Network slowly came back online, restored country by country. Gamers returned. New subscribers even joined. Incredibly, Sony rebounded. The brand survived. But the industry had changed. The PSN hack forced new regulations, stricter data protection, and greater awareness of cybersecurity. It proved that even the biggest corporations could be humbled overnight. For Anonymous, the hack became part of their legend. Whether they were truly responsible or not, their name was forever tied to the breach. It was proof of their chaotic power, a reminder that a faceless swarm could terrify giants. For George Hotz, the story was over. He distanced himself from the attack, moved on to other projects, and eventually built a career in legitimate tech ventures. But his fingerprints remained. Without his curiosity, without his challenge to Sony, the chain of events might never have begun. The legacy of April 20th, 2011 is more than numbers or lawsuits. It's a lesson about control. Sony wanted to dictate how its systems were used. Hackers wanted freedom. Anonymous wanted chaos. In the end, consumers paid the price. Because when anonymity is weaponized, when corporations are arrogant, and when hackers are relentless, even the mightiest empires can fall. And when they do, the mask waiting in the dark will always be there, whispering the same words. We are anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.